In the last video, we explored the originators of the Triads, the Tiandihui. Today, we're taking a step back into early 20th century to look at a man who became the definition of what a modern Triad leader strives to be. Introducing the Chinese Al Capone of Shanghai, Yuesheng. Before Yuesheng's rise to power within the Green Gang Triad, the group was originally started by out-of-work boatmen in Tianjin and Shanghai. Their knowledge of China's major riverways and shipping routes meant that they became deeply involved in the smuggling game. Early modern Shanghai, with a complex international jurisdiction, shipping ports, as well as a close proximity to Hong Kong, created the ideal hub for smuggling and the opium trade. As a result, Shanghai became home for the Green Gang and many other Triad organizations. The story of Yuesheng, the man who would one day become the kingpin of Shanghai, starts in the slums of Pudong. Du was born in 1888 and as a teenager traveled into Shanghai proper to begin working as an errand boy for a fruit vendor. His love of opium and willingness to break the law led to him to join the Shanghai Green Gang in the early 1910s. He befriended the gang leader Huang Jinrong, who was not only an extremely powerful mobster, but also the highest-ranking Chinese detective for the French police. From Huang, Du, a violent man by nature, quickly learned the ropes of mafia enforcement and opium peddling. From here, Du's rise to becoming the most powerful Triad boss in Shanghai was quick, and it happened as a direct result of three major incidents. The first occurred when Huang Jinrong was officially arrested, and Du came to his aid to bail him out. As Huang was now viewed as possibly weak, he handed over all criminal resources to Du. This gave Yuesheng full control over not only illegal activities such as gambling, drugs, and prostitution, but also over various legitimate businesses as well. The second opportunity came in 1917, when British enforcers officially stopped importing opium into China. At the turn of the century, opium had a major part in Chinese society. An estimated 150 million people, or 3/10 of the entire Chinese population, were either occasional opium users or complete opium addicts. That's 4 or 5 times larger than the population of England during the same era. In 1917, a third of all of Hong Kong's entire revenue was derived in some way from opium. So despite England no longer supplying the drug, the Chinese people still needed their fix. The Green Gang, with their intimate knowledge of the smuggling trade, saw their chance and started flooding the market. By the 1920s, Yuesheng, as well as other smaller Triad groups, were bringing an estimated 10 tons of opium and heroin into China from Japan and Europe. Controlling the supply of China's favorite drug and the money gained by doing so established Yuesheng as one of the most powerful criminals in not only Shanghai, but all of China. At the same time, the Chinese Civil War was taking place between Mao Zedong's Communist Army and Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist forces. Chiang Kai-shek had a large hand in the Shanghai underworld, assisting in the creation and maintenance of Triad gangs, which he in turn was able to utilize for generating money as well as hired muscle. When the Communist Party began instigating labor strikes in Shanghai, Chiang Kai-shek reached out to Yuesheng and the Green Gang to put an end to it. On April 12, 1927, a day that is now known as the Shanghai Massacre, Du and his men took to the streets and began slaughtering hundreds, if not thousands, of communist sympathizers. It apparently took 8 truckloads to remove all of the dead bodies from the streets. And when the smoke cleared, Yuesheng became a Triad leader of unrivaled power. The Nationalist Party celebrated Du as a Chinese hero, and in turn, Du sought to become a legitimate member of the social elite. Despite being mostly illiterate, Du founded his own bank, called the Shanghai Bank, became the director of the Shanghai Stock Exchange, and was also a board member for the French Municipal Council, the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce, the Chinese branch of the Red Cross, and the Bank of China. Yuesheng was a Triad king, and Shanghai was his kingdom. Things all started to change though, in 1937, during the Japanese occupation of Shanghai, when Du was forced to flee. Despite traveling to multiple places, he continued the opium trade and maintained a tight grip on his gang. After Japan was defeated, Du returned to Shanghai, only to find that it was again taken over 5 years later by Mao Zedong and his communist forces. Mao Zedong was strongly against the Triads and the drug trade, and sought to rid China of both their influences. But before Du could be arrested and prosecuted, he was lucky enough to escape to Hong Kong. His mentor Huang Jinrong was not so fortunate. He was captured by Mao, forced to confess his wrongdoings, and as a bizarre punishment, he was ordered to sweep the streets in front of a building he once owned. Huang Jinrong swept those streets for 3 years before finally passing away. Du himself spent those 3 years comfortably exiled in Hong Kong, and just as he decided it was safe to return to his home in Shanghai, he died of an opium-related illness in 1951. This marked the end of Yuesheng's reign, but it was not the end of the Triads. Through his work, Du defined what a modern triad could be. Many have followed in Du's footsteps since his death, and the criminal underworld has only become more powerful. During the time since his passing, many gangs have risen, fallen, and have long since been forgotten, but the legacy and life of the criminal Du Yuesheng will outlive us all. So, thank you for watching another one of my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and definitely subscribe. Next week, we'll look at modern triads. But in the meantime, don't forget to watch my previous video on the Tiandihui, the very first triad gang in Chinese history. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'm WooKong, and goodbye.